It's Mazzy here. Welcome to Gilmour, Cave, Elvis and Young. It sounds like a law firm, right? Or a 1971 band, possibly. Four new records here, two of which are brand new records by legacy artists. I consider both these legacy artists, maybe one technically more for most viewers than the other, but I think both definitely in that category. And two legacy artists that have comps, rework material, outtakes, archival material. So four records I'm going to showcase here. And tonight I'm wearing this leather hat by a woman named Marcia Akins. I've had this hat almost 25 years now. Next year would be 25 years. And this was on my birthday almost 25 years ago. I was gifted a gift certificate by my friend, the archivist. And it was a collaboration with her and this other woman she worked with. And they gave me this gift since I was a regular in this bar restaurant in San Francisco that they worked at the time. And I was gobsmacked. What a generous thing. $50 gift ticket for a hat of a hat store on the next block. And I said, well, you have to at least help me pick out the hat. So we go, maybe the next week, whenever it was. And the archivist points to this one. Now, this is a leather hat by Marcia Akins, Makin's Hats, no longer in existence in the same capacity. But I love this hat. It's kind of a wine-colored leather, and it's like a glove now. And the reason I'm talking about this, first of all, the hat was $150, so I had to pony up another $100 at the time. But 25 years has lasted me, and I've shared this hat and I've worn it many times over the years. It's been around the world in a way. It fits like a glove. It's like a close friend. And I almost retired it a couple years ago, but I brought it back out this last year just because. And I brought it to London with me, actually. But I'm talking about this because of this record. This is the new record by David Gilmour, of course, late of Pink Floyd. Became the de facto leader once the split with Roger Waters. Now, I've been a fan of Pink Floyd almost since the beginning. Love them. I saw them 5 times ever. The first time was 4 months prior to the release of Dark Side of the Moon at Winterland, where they performed not only Echoes, which is one of my favorite pieces from metal, but also the complete Dark Side of the Moon before the album came out. I saw the Animals tour. I saw the Wall tour. And I saw one later tour in the 90s, can't remember which ones, but, and one post Roger Waters tour. I'm not a huge fan of all of the Wall. In fact, to me, Roger Waters' voices got really intense for me, that kind of yelling, screaming he does. So I fell off the wagon. And I'm not necessarily a huge fan of any of the solo records. The only solo records I have are of David Gilmour. Now, I don't have his first one. I have Rattle That Lock, and I have the Island record, which I love that collaboration with Crosby and Nash, the vocals on that. Now, the thing is, the reason I talked about this hat, because a David Gilmour album, especially an album like this, is like the old glove, the worn hat, something that's very comfortable and easy to you. Now, there's a mellowness to this album. He's been doing that now on almost all his records. There's one intense track, not even an intense track, but the opening on side 2, Dark and Velvet Nights, is more of a standard rock blues thing that gets a little upbeat there. What I do love about this album is the sound of his guitar, the tones he gets, mostly, I guess, on that Stratocaster, but other instruments too, is sublime. It's beautiful. His voice is deeper, a little raspy. It's an easy record. It doesn't break any new ground, although I like the production with Charlie Andrew. Sometimes I get suspect when they bring in these younger hipsters, not that he's a hipster, to kind of make them relevant, but that's not what he did here. In fact, I think he added a lot of things, maybe editing some things, allowed him to play guitar, more guitar, and his vocals. And there's this one song on here that ends side 1, Between Two Points, with Romany Gilmour, his daughter. And, the family situation always can be, suspect. But his young daughter, I think she's 24 years old or so, has a beautiful voice. So that's a cover of an indie British song that I wasn't familiar with, and it to me is like the signature song on this album. And I wish there was more of that. I wish she did more harmonies with her father, because I think that would have added to it. His voice is still good, not as strong, but it's got that timbre like this wonderful Anton Corbijn photograph. Anton Corbijn, the great photographer who did almost all the U2 albums and so many of the Joy Division, that period of photography as well. I just love that. This contains a wonderful book, including a lot of great, just beautiful black and white, heroic portraits of David Gilmour on this. I just think it's really a stunningly beautiful book. And his instrumentation is really nice. Now, again, this is like an old glove. There's a familiarity to it. There's no breaking ground. It's got a mellow feel, an ambient feel at times. I don't think there's any like amazing song aside from the cover. Although I like at the end, Scattered. It opens up with this orchestration and some atonal, almost avant-garde choir that really kind of adds to it, and there's a nice build-up on here. The Piper's Call, it's a very personal album of growing old. The lyrics are in the book, and Polly Sampson, his wife, has been a collaborator with David Gilmour for many years now, and I actually quite like her lyrics. And again, it's not, the whole nepotism thing of working with your spouse can be problematic sometimes, or your kids, but I think Luck and Strange succeeds to a point. It's not, again, breaking any new ground. It's a familiar record in a way, but I think it's a very successful record. If you don't have anything or any Pink Floyd, I would not go with this first. I would go with those Pink Floyd records up through The Wall maybe, and I would almost stop there. I'm not a fan of Final Cut, although I have that, and I have the subsequent records after Roger Waters. And there's certain things that I like parts and not like other parts, but up till The Wall, Pink Floyd to me can do no wrong, and especially my favorite. I love metal. I love Atom Heart Mother. I particularly love Obscured by Clouds. But this record was a gift from Chris, from the Vinyl Piper. I'll put a link to his channel below. Just as a friend, we've met several times. He's a big psychedelia fan, a big prog fan, and it was very generous of him to send me this record as a gift. I got it on the release day. Didn't expect it. He sent me a little inbox letting me know it was going to arrive. But it is a beautiful record. I've listened to it twice now, once last night, and I literally got up at 6 a.m. this morning to spin it again. And it's got a great mood to it. In the right mood, it's a beautiful record. Again, no new ground is broken, but I think it's a successful record. I'm sure it'll do really well. David Gilmour. Next, out of all these records, this is the kicker for me. I have been promoting, not that I need to promote him, but Nick Cave for many years now. I am a huge, massive fan of Nick Cave. This new album, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Wild God. This, again, continues with his ongoing flirtation with religion and spirituality and love. And he is literally the preacher, man, and he is the evangelist, and it's all over this record. He starts out with a song of the Lake, which is probably the most, it's a larger production than the rest of the record for the most part. It starts out strong, and it's intense, but not like some of his more intense records going back that really kind of assault you, or the music he did with Grinder Man, those two records. Wild God is such a wonderful song. I've talked about this many times. I feel very spiritual in some ways, not religious at all, but I appreciate someone who, like Nick Cave, who flirts with it and has this kind of, I shouldn't say love-hate, but in a way it is that. It's like he's questioning things all the time. He's questioning his God. He's questioning the people in his life he's lost, like his two sons in the last several years. This intense picture is so out there. I am all in on Nick Cave, and this is a massively wonderful, good record. But it's one of those artists, whenever I've tried to really push him on someone, they just don't get it. You have to gradually get it on your own. You can't force it. I always talk about Boatman's Call is probably the easiest record to slip into. It's my favorite record is, but I love this. The next song, Frogs. I mean, there's God and religion and spirituality all over this record. Joy, Final Rescue Attempt. Sometimes he has songs with no chorus. Literally, it's kind of an ongoing, almost again like he's proselytizing and he's preaching and he's up there. Like if you ever seen him live, I've seen him maybe 6 times live, and he's the evangelist sometimes. He's preaching and the audience eats it up, including myself. Conversion starts with I think that's the one with the beautiful orchestration. Cinnamon Horses. Long Dark Night might be my favorite song on the album. It's a beautiful mood piece. I love it a lot. And there's this one song and that is so personal and such a great tribute to a friend of his. Oh wow, how wonderful she is. And it's dedicated to Anita Lane. Anita Lane was an on and off member for a short-lived time of the Bad Seeds, who died several years ago. Australian woman, was at one point involved with Nick Cave. It's so beautiful. I don't know a lot about her. I heard her name. I knew a little bit about her, but it's so beautiful to have this song. She rises in advance of her panties. Lone confirm God actually exists. She turns and smiles, but never really scantily. Oh wow, how wonderful she is. He definitely has a history of combining, again, spirituality with sensuality and sexuality and love and religion. I mean, it's all over the place. It goes deep, and it is sincere with him. Ends up with a beautiful As the Waters Cover the Sea. Quite the poet and great lyrical content. Co-produced by Nick Cave and Warren Ellis, an ongoing member of the Bad Seeds, and just a beautiful record. I am a huge fan, and this is one of those records that's going to become high on the Nick Cave discography in my house. I just love this record. Beautiful, thick cover stock too. Beautiful package. This is not embossed, but it's got that 3D look. I love that. Wild God, highly successful. Now, Elvis Presley. Of course, I'm a fan of Elvis Presley. He's put out so many records. RCA and now Sony has really milked his stuff. This came to me out of the blue, no note, free from Sony Records. So I'm telling you this right now. And it sat around in my house for a while, and then I put it on, and I was thoroughly surprised. Now, I saw Elvis once, 77, the last tour at the Cow Palace. So I finally saw him at the tail end of his career, I think a year before he died, or the year of his death. What this is, and I didn't realize what this was until I kind of looked through it and then read about it and then played it. This is a sampler for, I guess, a larger CD box of Elvis and Memphis. Now, not just the 70s record. This goes back to a month before Mazzy was born, at Sun Studios, of his first songs, That's All Right, Blue Moon of Kentucky, Good Rockin' Tonight, and it goes on, Mystery Train. Now, what's amazing about this, all these things are recorded in Memphis, each side. So you got the Sun single masters on side 1. You got American 1969, again, In the Ghetto, You'll Think of Me, Don't Cry Daddy, I'm Moving On. Then you got side C, Stax in 1973. And then you end up on side D, Graceland, some of his final recordings in 76 at Graceland. And what is wonderful about this, everything is stripped away. This is like an unplugged session. Remix, stripped away. You know, you can argue and bitch about artist intent, but some of those records, as beautiful as they were, especially in the 70s, added singers and orchestration and overdubs, and this strips it back. So if you don't have any Elvis, or you have very little Elvis, this is an amazing comp. Now, some will say I'm shilling it, but I love this. I mean, you can't knock Elvis Presley. Obviously, you only can knock, all the plethora of records and releases and soundtracks that are in his catalog, and it's hard to dig through. But if you want a great sounding record and just these great songs and Elvis's voice and, the type musicians he's used, Amazing, amazing collection. Again, something that surprised me, something I got free. This is one of those records I probably wouldn't have thought about getting if I saw it on the rack. So yet another Elvis comp. But having heard it now, I definitely would have picked this up because this is a listen, an easy, wonderful listen of great rock and roll, of obviously a pivotal character in the rock and roll circles, and definitely someone who took from a lot of blues and R&B artists, made it his own in a way, but unfortunately RCA and the producers and Colonel Parker and everyone really wanted that big sound at the time, but this is a magnificent collection. Lastly, I'm going to end up with the Neil Young Archive Sampler. Now, Neil Young, his archive series, it's an amazing what he has. I mean, him and Dylan, not many people come close in what they put out of quality of stuff maybe you've never heard, alternate takes, live versions, reworkings, demos, things like that. Now, what this is a 2 LP sampler of the latest CD, Massive Box, Volume 3. Now, I don't have that. I didn't get it yet. I may later. I do have the first 2, which are amazing. I believe there's 17 CDs in that set. All kinds of stuff from 1976 to 1987. So that's the period through Comes a Time, through Rust Never Sleeps, through Trance, the electric stuff. And what this is, they take one song off of each of 16 of the CDs, and it's a sampler. So I am all in. This is a great listen. It is all over the place, but if you're a Neil Young fan, this is a no-brainer, especially if you're a vinyl fan and you don't want to get the whole set. Now, starts with Hey Babe, which is an acoustic track. Nicolette Larson and Linda Ronstadt sing with him on that. You got Drive Back with David Briggs producing with Neil Young here. That was recorded live at the Hammersmith Odeon in 1976. Hitchhiker, also from 76, Let It Shine. Budokan version, an unreleased live version. So you got a lot of live versions. The first song, Hey Babe, is kind of that, rolling tape, not great sounding, almost bootlegish, but it's a great way to open up this set. But it gets into some really wonderful things. And I was looking at this and looking at the recordings, and I keep thinking, I wonder if I was at any of these shows. Sail Away is at the steamship in Santa Cruz, but you got a couple of tracks. One recorded at the boarding house I think in 78, and I saw one of those shows he did at the series at the boarding house, Small Club in 78, and another song recorded at the Catalyst in Santa Cruz, which I used to see some of his warm-up shows there before he started an ongoing tour. Now, Side 3, the thing that opens up, it's a long track. It is from 1978, and this is great. Hey, Hey, My, Into the Black. You know the song if you know Neil Young. But this is version recorded at different Fur studios in the Mission District of San Francisco. That was Pat Gleason's studio. Dr. Pat Gleason, who worked with on the soundtrack Apocalypse Now, worked with Herbie Hancock, and really was a synthesizer, but he owned and lived above a different Fur. But this is Neil Young with Devo backing him up. You got the entire Devo band. So this is kind of giving him that thing that he would later do into the 80s with trance and electronic thing he tried. I mean, what's great about Neil Young, he would try anything. He would try everything. And it's kind of a cool version. You hear the crosstalk of one of the members of Devo talking about just talking, and you listen to it, you may enjoy it. But it's a great long version of that. And just a great overview. Barstool Blues, Last of His Kind, Razor Love, some songs that have never been released. And I will say that when I show these records and talk about these records, there are Neil Young fanatics and like Bob Dylan fanatics that know every little version. And why didn't they include this? As much as I'm into Neil Young or Dylan, I'm not one of those fanatics that that will know every little version of why didn't they release that and why did they leave something out that wasn't there. I just enjoy the record for what it is, the music here and the comp. One thing I would say, this is something I don't usually bring up. Neil Young is slipping with his archives on this. No poly sleeves, black, which great pressings. I have no issues. I had no issues with any of the sound or any of the pressings of any of these records. Again, the Elvis and the Neil Young are double albums. and the Nick Cave and David Gilmour are single albums, new music. That's it for now. New music to check out. Mazzy loves you. Thanks for watching.